Sweet.
So as it's all coming together, welcome everybody.
Welcome to our YouTube channel.
Woohoo!
We're going to be doing special things. We're going to be doing special things on here. So it's really, really necessary to be subscribed so that you don't miss a thing.
Okay, so now just
bear with us. We need like a song when this happens. What's going on?
All right, so I got to turn that off. So all we need is I turned it off on YouTube because it was reverberating.
Oh, so we're not going to live stream it.
Well, we can. Do you have it on your? It's live streaming on YouTube. Hi, everybody.
Perfect. Hi. Welcome to the real ones.
I just had to turn it off my YouTube because it was like doing the reverberating.
Reverberation.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our impromptu YouTube. We're excited to be here.
Yes, we are. We're really excited because we're talking about a topic that kind of got us riled up in the last couple of days from our site. So
yeah, so if you didn't see it, I was actually called out on the site and I was compared to Gary Vaynerchuk. And I was like, wow, I don't think my vocabulary even holds a candle to Gary. But
well, talk about who Gary is.
All right, so Gary Vaynerchuk is he's kind of an internet genius. And I don't know his whole story, but I've watched him a little bit. He uses the F word like a lot, like probably in every sentence. I do not do that. So I'm innocent there, but I think I let the F word slip when I did my very initial video about Real Ones because I was feeling the energy. So the really amazing thing being called out on this is that it's creating consciousness and awareness in me. And I think one of the really cool things is that in the beginning, and this is what Lisa is so amazing having as a best friend to do with me, is to kind of help me when I feel a little bit triggered. Cause I definitely felt like, wait, what? You know, I definitely had that feeling like, you get that feeling like somebody's attacking you when they're questioning what you're doing and what you're saying. They're questioning the words that you're putting out there. So I had to take a step back and handled it, I think, pretty well. And now it created curiosity in me instead of offense. I decided to go with curiosity and see what that means for me. And I started asking questions like, why do I swear? Like, what is that? Why does it feel good to swear? And I traced it back to, of course, when being younger, when we're told that we can't say those words. So it creates it creates this bondage. And then when you can and you become an adult, you feel like that freedom. So it still feels like freedom to me to like let those words rip. I think sometimes I feel cool when I swear. I think sometimes I'm funny when I swear. So like all these things are coming. But I also researched it. So
that's so cool. Before we get into the research, I want to tell you this funny story about my little boy. Well, he's now full grown, but when my son was little, my kids were little, we're sitting around the dinner table and my daughter was like, oh my God, Mom, somebody used the F word on the bus today. And I was like, oh no, like, what happened? And she's like, oh my gosh, it was so awful. And, he got in trouble by the bus driver. And meanwhile, my son is like, wait, what do you mean? What's the F word? What's the F word? So my daughter said, well, like duck with an F. And my son was like, oh my God, he said duff. And of course, it was just hysterical laughter and by my husband and my daughter and myself and my poor little son. Like he didn't know what the bad word was. And so it's just so interesting how we condition our children about, right, what's a good word and what's a bad word. And so I'm curious to hear your research because it's interesting, like who decided what's a bad word?
Exactly. I think it was just the way they were the way that they sounded, but this is the really interesting thing. And I don't know if it's because we've created this energy around these words or if these words actually have this energy themselves. But what I found out was scientifically, these words are not processed in the left hemisphere of the brain, which is where all of our language is processed. They're processed in the frontal cortex, which is where our emotions are processed. They've also done studies where they found out that if you're in pain, like you stub your toe or something like that, and you swear, it actually relieves pain, but not if you swear all the time. It actually dilutes it if you are a swearer. So I thought that was really interesting. So there were a lot of different studies. And then I realized as I'm laying in bed, so we all know like the law of attraction and like what we focus on expands. So of course I'm reading this book last night that my wonderful friend Jess gave me. And there's a whole thing about swearing in here. So,
so that's who by Brene Brown. What's the name of the book? I didn't quite see the
called
title.
Braving the Wilderness. I love Brene Brown. Never knew I loved her, but she has a Netflix special called Vulnerability that I highly recommend. I think it's fantastic. She's a wonderful speaker. She's very funny. She's very real. So as I was reading her book, I realized that it's all opinion. It's all just an opinion. It's like how we feel about it and how we've decided to feel about it. It's just the story that we've wrapped around it. Because I have a friend, a really good friend, who taught me pretty much every swear I know at the age of like 5. And in the way she grew up is her parents never had a problem with swearing. Like they swore all the time. And so it wasn't this like taboo thing that she had to be. Now she's got a mouth on her. And when I'm with her, I have even more of a mouth on me. So it's interesting, like just that. And just like, what is this, what is the story that she's wrapped around it is they're just words, So that's her belief. And I think I have believed that, but I also think that I come from a place of like when my 18-year-old started swearing, it would like make me wince. This is my baby girl and the stuff's coming out of her mouth. So like it's the energy of the word. Also, the intention underneath the words is really important. So then I started thinking like, okay, how much negativity am I spewing when I'm swearing? I'm usually doing it. I mean, I can do it, like I said, to be funny, but a lot of times I'm doing it to just like try to get negativity out of my body, I think. But am I perpetuating it? I don't know.
It's so interesting because the way you just said that about, are you spewing negativity? Because what I'm feeling, and I've heard this before, that words contain like packages of energy. And so like a swear word, it's when you say, a swear word, it's like filled with all of this, connotation and meaning, and whether you've gotten in trouble or whether it's right or wrong. And so it's like an explosion of energy. But it's the same I recently heard with diagnosis of disease. So if somebody tells you you've got cancer,
yeah,
as soon as you start saying to people, I have cancer, or I have, fibromyalgia, or I have that one word is packed with this whole context of information that then your brain starts to process and be like, oh, that's what I am. That's what I have.
Yes.
And that's an identity. And so then it just takes on even more so that. So I've heard that if you're diagnosed with something, don't say to people that you are that or that you have that diagnosis, because it just creates it more. That's by Dr. Hawkins. David Hawkins talks about that it's just,
which is your favorite book ever.
One of my favorite books. Yes. Letting Go. Love that book.
I listened
to
that
anyway,
5 times. That's a great book, but that's a great example of what we're doing in our society as far as labeling people, and then they identify with what they have, so then people can't get over things. Like, guys, our cells are replenishing like every 3 days. So whatever's going on that's chronic is because you have a belief system that is based around that chronic experience.
Right. Yeah. And even saying things like I'm fat, or I'm ugly, or I'm sad, or I'm depressed, or I am anything I am, and then the word, you're just affirming that. That's your affirmation of what you're creating in your body. And guys, we can change it. We're creating every single moment by our words, by our thoughts, by our feelings. And so it's so important.
And when you activate
really
those,
be mindful.
Absolutely. When you activate those things in your experience, then the world just reflects it to you, because that's what law of attraction is all about. It's like a mirror. So whatever you're feeling inside, whatever you're deciding about yourself, that's what the world is going to give you more of. So then you're going to be attracted to crappy foods, and you're going to feel bloated and all of the stuff that goes along with that.
Yeah. Wow.
Good
so cool.
stuff. So let me just tell you what Brene said, because I thought it was really, really cool. So she said that she had, a while before this, she had met Oprah, and Oprah had introduced her to Maya Angelou. And the one thing that Maya said to her was, I want to see the exact thing that she said, because she really took it on kind of as her mantra. And I think it's a really good thing for us to have that mantra ourselves, where, you know, we're so firm and so strong in who we are that we don't let people like push us around, or situations like push us around. So she said, do not be moved. And then she started with the mantra of I shall not be moved. So that just meant like you are who you are, and you know you're bringing a message to the world that goes, it's controversial to social programming. So in order to not be moved, it's about really getting strong in your belief systems and bringing this information to people without fear, like being fearless in that. So her new mantra was I shall not be moved. So she had this company that had come to her and they wanted her to do a presentation, but you know they had some limits on her presentation. And they said, while we appreciate your direct and down home approach, I'd like you not to curse, because we may risk losing some of our faithful audience who would offer you grace, but they'll still be offended. And her thought inside of her mind was, bullshit. This is total bullshit. I'm not doing this. I'd rather never speak again. I'm done moving. Like I'm done taking, you know, and the other thing she said was, I can confidently say that stories of pain and courage almost always include two things: praying and cussing, sometimes at the same time. So
Wow.
like this woman I really revere, and like I said, I think there's a grace to it. It's like sometimes these words, like people, when you're a speaker, they need a little bit of shock value. They need a little bit of like, that was the other thing that the scientists had realized, was it makes people pay attention. You know, and there is that potential for people losing respect for you. But I think that losing respect for someone, I think, comes from something that they're exuding rather than the words that they're using. Now, I don't love it when people overuse swearing. I think that there's, like I said, a delicate balance.
Absolutely. Well, and also I just would like to challenge anybody who gets offended by swearing, really dig into what is triggering that in you. Why are you triggered by somebody swearing? Again, it's a word, right? And so I know, like I said earlier, it's like a package, right? So when somebody delivers it, it's almost like maybe a grenade and it just goes off. But, you know, probably you were, you know, told as a child not to do it, or it's not right, or whatever the meanings are around the swearing. But whenever you get triggered, like if somebody swears and you're like, ah, I'm offended by that, like take a moment and check it out. Like, wow, I'm curious why I'm offended by that. Like, what is it? Rather than just saying it's wrong, you know, like it's something in you that's being triggered. So it's a great way to learn more about yourself.
Absolutely. And just get curious, right? We should be,
Yeah.
be getting curious about these triggers. So after all of this, I had this really intense conversation with my daughter, who's 16, and she brought up an interesting point that has also been scientifically proven, that it creates camaraderie and it actually creates intimacy when you're in a work environment. And she said when she has teachers that kind of let a few swears slip, she likes them better and she feels more comfortable around them. Oh, they're real. Right. So I thought that was really interesting. And, you know, in this generation of teenagers, if you don't have teenagers, there's a lot of what we would have deemed inappropriateness going on. Now we've got social media, we've got all these things where people are, you know, half dressed and all this stuff that we grew up with, believing that that was wrong, that sexuality was wrong, that all of those things needed to be hidden. And now these kids I'm watching and they're like, you know, Mom, this is like, it's no big deal, you know? But we come from our stories, we come from our limitations, we come from our little boxes. So it's such a good idea to get curious instead of offended, because if you get curious, you're going to get information, you're going to do research. I could have gotten offended, I could have ripped that guy off our page, I could have done all these things that would have created negative emotion, but instead I got excited about it, about researching it and saying, what does this mean for me? You know, why do I do this? And is it good for me? Is it good for what I'm doing?
Right. I love that. And I love the idea about the camaraderie. I remember when I went to work at the hedge fund, and it was a lot of guys, right, working in the hedge fund. And so here I am, and they're all swearing and this and that. And I got right into it, you know, but then all of a sudden, like I was at home and I'm like, what? Oh my gosh, I'm swearing like all the time. So
it's hard to contain it, right?
It is. But it's also like when I go to the South, when I go to, you know, Texas, like I just immediately fall into a Southern accent, which sounds, it seems like so fake, because it's like, what? I just walked in here 5 minutes ago, and I'm twanging, right? But it's a way to conform with, you know, or camaraderie, you know, it's a way to to fall in and be, get
Right.
along with other people.
Exactly. I think I think that was one of probably the coolest things that my research brought up.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, and that's part of the real ones, right? We're being real. And I love it. I love that you did some research and that, we're talking about this. And I mean, just by one person's comment, it's like opened up this whole conversation. And meanwhile, it's so funny because on my feed, one of my high school friends was talking to one of these, Siri or something online, and asked about, hey, tell me what's going on Fox News. And the the online whatever, intelligence
Alexa.
thought she said, fuck you.
Fox
and it was like,
fuck you. Interesting.
Fox News. Yeah, interesting. So anyway,
so alike.
Right. I know. So anyway, I thought that was hilarious. So that just happened this morning after,
So
all of
Alexa
this.
actually apologized.
Yes. Yeah. So
hilarious.
Sorry for offending you, or I'm sorry that I've upset you or something, because so anyway, who knows? And then I just saw something on the side of mine, which was it said fuck you, and it's like it said don't be offended, it's just art. And there's like 300,000 subscribers to this art page that has that's the title of the. So once again, it's just so fascinating. But I do think also that it's like listening to everything I'm doing, and then it gives me things in my feed so it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I know. I just chalk it up to law of attraction. I'm like, what I'm focusing on is expanding, and this stuff is just coming to me because, quite frankly, this book that I've been reading for like 2 days, for me to be on that page last night just tells me it's like we're being given information, you guys. And when we pay attention to it, it's like, it's right there. It's like, boom, there's your answer. There's your answer. Cause I thought I had made up my mind about the swearing thing before I read what she wrote. And I thought, yeah, maybe I do need to like bring it down a notch a little bit, because it's making me more conscious of my words, which is good.
Right.
But then I just said, fuck that. Because what Renee said, I'm like,
embrace who you are.
Yeah.
And in the, and that's part of it, is not filtering our words, and in fact, not filtering our appearance. Hello, people. I am just basically woke up and just threw my hair up and I was doing some yoga, and we decided to go live. And so this is me, the real me, no makeup, no hair, la, la, la.
I have no problem with it. And I'm sure no one else will. Yeah. So that's your story around that you are not, presentable or
glammed up. Yeah,
or
exactly.
Looking like, your very best, because maybe our natural place is our very best. And we just convinced ourselves that all the
and it is so interesting to me, because here in Maui, I mean, this is 90% of the way I am, unless I'm going on camera. And then I feel like I need to shower and do my hair, put my makeup on, and it feels really weird. But when I'm on the mainland, it's like, wow, no, I have to get up and shower and make up. And it just feels very much more
the
like
energy of the place. Yeah.
Right. Conform to, again, it's like having the twang or swearing at the hedge fund. When I'm on the mainland, it's like people do their nails, they do their hair, they do their makeup, and it's much more of a everyday thing. But here in Maui, it's much more just wake up, go to the beach, do yoga.
Well, that's an important conversation, because it's like, how much are we conforming? How much are we letting ourselves go to show up? And actually, the next chapter of what Brene was talking about was belonging. So like, it's a piece of us that wants to belong and look like we belong somewhere, when we're really just kind of letting go of who we really are. It's like, who are we really? Am I this person who really loves to get made up? I do, kind of, in some ways. But I do also love to put on a baseball hat and not worry about it. So I think if we can kind of bring whatever we're feeling in the moment, then I think that works.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been times when I'm about to do a Facebook Live or something, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just don't want to get dressed. So I really want to honor that more so. And I love what Brene said, like, what is it? I will not move, or
I shall not move.
I shall not move.
That's good stuff, because how many times do we ignore that voice inside of ourselves and do for other people, and from an obligatory place, and then we become resentful, or we
Yeah.
become unhappy, or we feel like we're not at choice, or we feel like we're in this bondage. It's like, no, people, we all have a choice in every single second of the day. I don't care what it is, an aging parent, a teenager. And I will tell you, I have challenges with this all day long because my teenagers are constantly asking stuff of me. And now I'm in this, like, the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm just doing all of it and everything that she needs, which feels good to me right now, but it's not necessarily the best thing for me.
Right.
But that's mom life. Hashtag mom life. If anybody's figuring
Yeah.
it out, let me know. Because
Well, and I love that though. And it's so true. Even just this past weekend, a friend asked if we could carpool to an event together. And I said, well, great, but I don't know if I'm going to be going home or not. So do you have your own ride home? Oh yeah, I've got my own ride home. Well, it ended up, he forgot his phone. He couldn't get a hold of the person that was going to give him a ride home. And so he's like, oh, well, can't you just take me home? And so I agreed, but I really didn't want to. And guess what? I'm the only one to blame. I could have told him to get an Uber. I could have, just said, no, we had an agreement that you were going to find your way home. But I
like,
just had that.
I'm busy. I made plans.
Well, yeah, but it's just, I don't know. There's just this, I don't know. It's so hard when,
it's a programming. It's a programming. Honestly, I say, I think it's worse in women than it is in men. I mean, I'm judging that from my own experience.
Right.
Not sure why that is, but maybe it's the nurturer in us. We've got more of the yin energy. That's what it is. And we're always, we tend to be pleasers. I'm sure there's women that are not, but we do tend to be wanting to make sure everybody's happy and sacrificing our own happiness in a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's always just more information. Again, I don't blame him. He did nothing wrong. All he did was ask, and I agreed.
And he forgot his phone. You could blame him.
Well, yeah, that's true. He did forget his phone. And do you hear my dog barking? I want to go out there and stop barking. Yeah. Well, anyway, this has been a great conversation. And
this is good stuff. I don't know how long it's been, but I guess it doesn't matter. Do you want to do something fun right now?
Yeah, let's do something fun.
I don't know if you have anything to be fun with, but maybe maybe pull some cards or something.
Oh yeah. Let me grab my cards.
She's so prepared. Look at her.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Just right at my fingertips.
I don't know. That just came to me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see what the cards say about the whole, speaking our truth, being our, our true authentic self, whether that includes swear words or not, or
not taking a
saying
shower.
No, not taking a shower, just,
showing up real.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this conversation.
Yeah, so good. All right. So the blockage card is fulfillment. So I think what, it's like we're worried about, being who we truly are, fulfilling our full potential. And so like you were just being you, right? But then, and then someone called you out on your swearing, right? And so it's like, oh my God, did I, am I doing the right thing?
Am I fulfilling my purpose?
Right. Am I not right? Am I not fulfilling my purpose? Am I not being fully me, like me coming here with no, hair and makeup? It's like, oh my God, is this really my best self? I don't know. Is it, so that's the blockage, right? That we're somehow not fulfilling.
So we get scared. So we get scared about being who we truly are. We get scared that people aren't going to accept that. So we may limit our possibilities in that. Cause that was what I thought. I thought, well, if I am swearing, maybe Lisa and I won't get the same opportunities together that we would have if I had a little bit cleaner of a situation going on here. So that's so spot on.
Well, I love this. Ta-da! The action card is inspiration.
Nice.
So, and I am just absolutely, my whole body just lit up, and it's because we're being an inspiration. Like, you know what? We can't please everybody. That's one of the biggest things when you go live, when you go put yourself out there, just being yourself. You're not going to please everybody, but you are going to be an inspiration to people when you are fully yourself and own who you are and not be moved and shine your full bright light, because most of us are conforming and trying to not, be seen and just fit in. So it's brilliant that, you're an inspiration when you stand fully in your own voice, in your own self. Power. And I love, this woman is standing on the top of a mountain.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what comes to mind for you?
That makes me think of a book that I read by David Goggins. He's like this badass Navy SEAL, and his story is incredible. And I can't remember the name of it, but look up David Goggins, you'll find him. There was a woman who had reviewed one of his book before I bought it, and she said that there was far too many swears, and it just really took away from the message of the book. And I got it anyways. I think I'd already ordered it, and I was reading the book, and I was like, there's not too many swears in this. like to allow that to take away from the message of this man's life, which was like such a miracle and such an overcoming of so many challenges, and a life story that was really, really, really challenging. I don't know. I thought it was kind of silly. So that's what came up from.
That is so funny. I'm trying to look it up. I saw his Wikipedia.
Yeah, he's really, really good. It's something about pain.
Here we go. Book. Let's see what the book is. I always like to give the title.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Can't hurt me. Can't hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came from an abusive situation, and he was overweight and just really down on himself. And he did everything he possibly could to make it into the military. And I mean, he lost like 150 pounds in like 3 months. And he's one of the most resilient men I think I have ever read about in my life, where he might be a little crazy. I mean, we're all a little crazy, but like he takes pain to such a level. Like he did I think he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for pull-ups. I mean, just like 24 hours of pull-ups. His story is amazing. It really is.
That is amazing. Well, and then the outcome card is gratitude. And again, I think by everyone here listening to this, by you being you without
apology,
that's the word, without apology. I mean, the world needs that. The world needs us to be 100% who we are, and whatever comes our way. And this is the other part of it too, is if people are saying negative things about you, who cares? If people are saying positive things about you, who cares? Yeah. It's not a popularity contest. It's not like how many people, and that's the problem. Our society, to me, with all of the social media, how many likes and how many comments and this and that, it makes us think maybe differently than just 100% being you. And people are grateful to see authentic people.
Yeah. No, I'm totally in alignment with that. And the funny thing about that is, like, Gary Vaynerchuk has one of the biggest followings probably in social media, and he teaches people how to have a following. So clearly,
wow,
it works for some people, right?
That is amazing.
I promise. I promise to keep it balanced, though. I get that. Like, it can be a little, like, I think about Bill Cosby and how Bill Cosby had said, like, he was the one who was like, I'm not swearing. And then you have somebody like Eddie Murphy who just like took it to the extreme, and they had a lot of issues between each other because of that.
Right.
It's like, it works for different audiences, right? Like some people love it and some people don't. So like you said, you can't please everyone.
Right. And again, if it does bother you, then look in yourself and ask why it does, because it's just a word at the end of the day.
And you have a choice not to listen to me.
That's right. I love it. And speaking of popularity and all that, I noticed yesterday, I clicked on something on our new Facebook group, which I will put a link below so you guys can join if you've not joined already. But we had over 4,000 comments, likes, and within the first week we had over 4,000 interactions, which I was just blown away by. So
that is incredible. I love it. Yeah. We have a really good thing going there.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, I think that's it
for us. That was really fun.
Yeah. Wonderful.
All right.
Well, until next time, right?
All right. Yeah. We love you all.
Love you.
Peace.
Peace.